chapter number 6, disaster management. So in the previous lesson we have done with the two different types of disaster. That's a man-made disaster and the natural disaster. So man-made is caused due to the action of the human beings, and natural disaster, these disasters are caused due to the force of nature. And these natural disasters are quite dangerous, they are uncontrollable, they are powerful, isn't it? So therefore, in this case, disaster management is important. Now what is disaster management? Actually, the main purpose of disaster management is to lessen the impact of the disaster. So we need to prepare ourselves before these kind of hazardous or the incident or the situation comes. Okay, so here you can see disaster management is the process by which uncertainties in potentially hazardous situation can be minimized so that public safety is maximized. So what is the main aim behind disaster management is to promote public safety or to maximize public safety. So for this, what you have to do, we have to prepare ourselves, okay, like you can see here, we need to be prepared to face and manage emergency so that the impact of such a disaster can be minimized. So that is why disaster management is important. And this disaster management, it should be the combined effort of the individual, the society, the government and all entire community. Then only it can be or it will be an effective plan. Okay, so therefore the first thing which we need to prepare, like in the disaster management, is the like coming together as a whole so as to fight that particular situation or to fight that particular situation together. So now let us see the 4 stages of disaster management. So what are the 4 things which you have to keep in mind while managing the disaster? So first one is preparation, number 2 response, number 3 recovery, and number 4 mitigation. And for this you can refer your textbook on page 51. So preparation. Preparation means the action taken before or the planning done before the situation arises or situation take place. So what are the planning which we can do before the situation arises? Number 1, developing emergency action plan. Okay, to make the plan beforehand, that means before the situation take place. Then number 2, recruiting volunteers from the civilian to help as the first responder. Then number 3 is constructing the shelters, then installing the warning devices and rehearsing the evacuation plan. So these are the things which has to be done before the disaster takes place. That is preparation. Then number 2 is a response. Second means after preparation, now response. Now what is a response means is the action taken during the initial impact. Okay, during the initial impact, what are the things, okay, which we have to do it? Like number 1, necessary emergency services, like the first aid, the first provider, responder we say. Then number 2, firefighters, ambulance and the policemen, they get into the immediate effect or the immediate action. Then number 3, the NGOs, that's a non-governmental organization, okay, non-government organization, and the volunteers, they join in to provide the assistance or to provide the practical help to the people affected or the victims, okay. So that is under response. Now number 3 is recovery. That means it is the action taken after the initial stage, that is the action taken after the initial impact. So what is that in the recovery? Number 3, recovery. Okay. So first point is the restoration of the affected areas. The areas which are affected has to be restored. Okay. Then number 2, repairing the essential infrastructure. The facilities which are needed, which are very much important, those infrastructure should be repaired earlier than the others. Then last one is the mitigation. Now mitigation means these are the activities that reduce the impact and damaging effect of a disaster. So actually the main thing is to lessen the impact of the disaster. Okay, mitigate means to lessen or to reduce the effect of the disaster. And how we can do this? Number one, preventing hazards from turning into disaster. That means to prevent it from turning into the worst situation or reducing the effect of disaster. Then number two, focusing on long-term measures for reducing the risk, not for the short term, but to reduce the impact of that disaster for the long period of time. And the last one is applying various mitigation plans or the strategies. So these are the 4 stages of disaster management.